Welcome to the Tavern. Make sure that you get you some good Patriot Brew. I keep having dark roast on my desk. I need to show you guys Liberty Light Roast and Constitution Medium Roast. But whatever your poison, whatever you prefer, just make sure you get a good cup of Joe or whatever else suits your fancy tonight, and put it in a good mug, and then clank, and let's get busy. For those of you that might be new to the Tavern, just a quick reminder of the role of the taverns in our nation. So important, a huge part of what made America even possible in the first place. If you're going to have freedom of speech and the right to assemble and petition your government for redress of grievances and live out your freedom of religion and be the press and all of those things, you got to have a place to do that. You got to have other members of your community that you can come alongside and team up with to do that. And so that's what they did in the taverns. And it's what I like doing in the tavern. So I appreciate all of you that join me on a weekly basis here. Again, the concept, just like with the founders, they gather together, sometimes in secret, sometimes, huddled over in the corner of a tavern, sometimes for a big meeting in that tavern, to talk about the strategies and tactics necessary to, in that case, launch liberty in a nation. Now, granted, they already enjoyed most of the freedoms that we enjoy today, and the king was infringing upon that. But it was the camaraderie that they found in their fellow patriots that gave them the steadfastness to see through a war that would be years prior to the war of meeting in those taverns and having these conversations, and years in war, and then years after the war to figure out how to do it the right way. And it was even in a tavern where Washington bid farewell to his officers, and then of course in a tavern there in Delaware where the Constitution was first ratified. So they're the first state because they met in the Golden Fleece Tavern to ratify the Constitution. All of that lead in tonight to say, what's your tavern in your community? Where is your tavern in your community? Who owns it? And who are you getting together with in your local tavern? And I don't mean a bar. It could be your living room. It could be your man cave. If you've got a man cave there, it's a perfect place to get together with 3 or 4 other guys or ladies or whatever it might be. And guys get together and smoke those cigars and talk about what you can do to make a difference. Put on a Rebuilding Liberty course. Ladies, have some friends over for tea, or coffee. But the whole point is to get together. If you haven't been to the Patriot Academy campus, when you come for the first time, not if, but when you come, make sure that you make a point of finding the Ronald Reagan album. Find the big, huge framed copy of the Ronald Reagan record that he recorded in, I want to say it was 58. It might have been 60 or 61, close to a decade before he was governor of California. But he recorded it specifically against socialized medicine, against socialism in the area of medicine. And it was actually the American Medical Association Auxiliary that then took that, and this record is amazing. It's got on the back, it's basically got how do you have coffee with your friends in your home to make a difference for your nation. And so they tell you, come in, make coffee, have your friends sit in the living room, play the record, play Ronald Reagan's speech. I think it's like 30 minutes, and then start writing letters to your congressman. Start talking about what to do in your local communities. Essentially, the Constitution Coach program, but in a specific for one specific issue, and led by an organization that later would become pro-socialism. So it's really sad what happened in the 50 years after that. But for a season, that was the mechanism, the tool, the vehicle through which socialism was defeated in our country. It was basically the taverns for the 1950s and 60s for that one issue. What I'm asking you to do is create a tavern in your community and find ways to take action locally. Tonight, my theme here in our tavern is local, local, local. I mean, it is the best place to get involved and make a difference. I'm not saying don't pay attention to the presidential race or the Senate races. Certainly, congressional races can somewhat be local. But I guess what I want to drive home to you is that you can make a huge difference in a county commissioner's race or a school board race or a county judge race or even a district judge race if your state elects your judges. It is so much easier to get involved and make a difference. And we had a great weekend, long, late nights because first of all, we did block walking for a county commissioner candidate here in our area, not our particular commissioner in the part of the county that we're in. We're going to go knock doors for him next Saturday, or this coming Saturday. On Valentine's Day, I told him we're going to go get the love for you, man. We're going to go get citizens to love on you with their votes. So anyway, we're going to do that for a different for our commissioner, Chad Carpenter, who's a fantastic commissioner and has done an incredible job, and been very good to us and friendly to us. And we haven't had to ask for favors. We just said help keep government off our backs, get the boot of government off our neck, and he's a guy that looks for that proper balance, proper role of government within jurisdictional lines. Anyway, another commissioner in our county is running for re-election, and we went and knocked on doors for her Saturday. And, did that for just a few hours. Got some great sun, man. It was beautiful. I think I talked here in the Tavern about knocking for a state Senate candidate just a few weeks ago up in the Fort Worth area. She ended up losing the special election, but she'll end up winning the general election. And as I talked about last week here in the Tavern, not likely that the guy that won that will get to cast a single vote, even though he's technically the state senator at this point, until January. Lord willing, she will win. I saw her on Thursday in Dallas at a different meeting, and she's at it strong. She's a great candidate. Lee Wamskantz, by the way, is her name, and she will end up winning the primary on March 3rd, and then ultimately the election in November. This January election was a special election to finish the term of the state senator that stepped aside to go serve as our comptroller until Don Huffines beats him. I've endorsed Don Huffines for that race. Okay, where was I going with all that? Yeah, we knocked on the doors, but then we also worked on stuffing envelopes for a mailer. And, it reminded us so much of our old state rep days. When I ran for state rep, man, we mailed thousands and thousands and thousands of mailers into the district. And when it was a letter, I would sign every single one of them, and we would stuff those envelopes. And, man, I'm telling you, it was a lot of long days and nights stuffing envelopes. My mom, Kara's mom, we had volunteers from our church and family. I mean, there was a lot of that. So we got a little bit of experience with that over the weekend. We had some of our family members, some of the kids that go to Patriot Academy, volunteered and came out and stayed up till 2 a.m. with us doing that. Anyway, and so the reason I mention all that and bring that up is that this is an easy thing to do if you're willing to do it. It actually can be fun. I think when you realize that politics is local and that politics is just how you're going to treat your neighbor, and that who gets elected in your local elections is going to have a huge impact on your life. It's going to determine what government looks like closest to home, what rules your county is going to try to enforce on you and your property, how your local school district is going to educate kids in your neighborhood, the kids that will be the leaders of your community in 15, 20, 30 years. Is it going to become like, just so sad to watch my hometown, and I don't know if Wade's on tonight. We'll see in the chat, but my buddy Wade and I, we graduated from a high school in Northeast Dallas called Wiley. Wiley, there's two Wileys. There's one out by Abilene. There's one northeast of Dallas. We went to the one northeast of Dallas. Little small town when we were growing up. 3A school, great place to grow up, great school to be a part of. And that's where that video's from last week of the the Muslim handouts and literally pushing Islam on these kids and girls wearing hijabs and all that nonsense. And there's apparently more coming out about that, and might have been some of the officials actually participating in that. But the point is that's the place I grew up, man. That's our hometown, where that kind of stuff would have been the zero chance of that happening when we were growing up there. And I think that the stuff that's happening now in this country, as I always say, the petri dish where bad government grows is biblical and civic ignorance. That's where it grows. And when we kind of put our head in the sand, or we just get busy with life and the things that we're doing, we don't pay attention to the camel's nose under the tent. We don't pay attention to what the enemy is, and I mean Satan himself. I mean the evil that is out there that wants to take over America, that wants to take your children, that wants to take our nation. We don't pay attention, and we don't recognize some of that. I mean, same thing with the Super Bowl. This disgusting halftime show. It's not the first disgusting halftime show. I mean, they've done other stuff. It's the worst probably that's ever happened. If the lyrics that I read on X last night are true. I didn't watch the show. We watched the Turning Point show, but the stuff I saw on and I didn't even watch the game. I didn't even know who was playing in the game. Okay, yeah, y'all can make fun of me if you want. I'm a baseball guy. And not so much of a football guy. I did used to pay attention to football years ago. I'm a Cowboys fan. It's so bad. The NFL is so bad. They were so bad during BLM that I just haven't come back from that. Baseball got a little bit bad, not near as bad as NFL, and they came back. And the Rangers, of course, not doing a Pride Month and a lot of the things that they did, 3 years ago got me back into watching baseball again. But NFL, man, I could care less. And I just don't give them my time or my money. And so I genuinely did not even know who was playing in the Super Bowl until halftime of the Super Bowl. So we're like stuffing envelopes and doing our thing, getting ready for this mailer that we're doing. And the kids on campus had a big Super Bowl party up at the chamber. And anyway, but where was I going with all that? Oh yeah, so noticing the evil that is within the entertainment and the politics of our communities is essential. And so I'm going to challenge you tonight to look for some local races. If you're in Texas, you've only got a couple of weeks before the primary. Primary is March 3rd here. Early voting February 17th. That's next week. So it's coming up fast. And not only am I going to ask you to find a race that you can go knock on doors or hold signs at the polling places during early voting and definitely on election day on March 3rd, but also to post on your social media feeds, and I'm going to do this myself, a sample ballot where you're encouraging people to support the candidates that you're supporting. Most people have no idea when they go in to vote, especially the local races. For all of our Texas friends, and I know we got people here from all over the country, so I apologize for bringing it back to Texas so much. But for us, we got a big primary coming up March 3rd. So we got our Attorney General race, we got our U.S. Senate race. I am by far and away not a John Cornyn fan. Haven't been for years. I mean, he was a decent AG when he was Attorney General of Texas. I remember when I was in the legislature, and he helped with some good pro-life stuff. Man, he got to Washington, and the swamp swallowed him up. He's been terrible, and he's way too old and way past his ability to do the job. He's like a Mitch McConnell at this point, and the staff runs everything, and that's just sad. It shouldn't be that way. People should exit stage left at a certain point. Anyway, but that one's a three-way primary. So you got Ken Paxton, who's I've known for years and years, and he's definitely had his problems, but he's also been a great attorney general in terms of the results that he's gotten while serving as attorney general. And then, man, I'm forgetting his name now, but the congressman out of Houston, who's seems great. I don't know him. I don't think I've ever met him. I don't know anything about his voting record. The videos I've seen online are good. But Paxton's the one that can defeat Cornyn, and so that race is going to be really, really important in that U.S. Senate race. And then the AG race, which is a four-way race, and I know two of the four, and I like the two of the four really well. When Mays Middleton got in the race, I endure. Oh, somebody said we lost our Facebook signal. Let's see. If you are in the chat, please let me know if it is still going through. Yeah, we should have really good. I have super speed here on my internet, so that is, we might have lost power in the building. So if you're in the chat, okay, I see somebody said what happened. Anybody else? Is it I'm not in a big hurry tonight. I got Flashpoint, but I don't have a ton of topics that I'm going to cover tonight. So let me just make sure that we've got everybody. I don't see any other messages in the chat, so if I need to restart, let me know quickly. All right, I'm going. Yeah, it looks like we may not be live at this point. All right, I am